supply clarity. There are all sorts of decisions that are going to be made. So are you going to make or buy? Is it off the shelf or modified? Get some clarity. Second, actually check for human interdependencies, not just technical ones. Yeah, I know you were going to think of it. I just wanted it to be a little bit further at the front of the list. And last but not least, verify and validate. Hi, I'm KimiKSP, and we're talking here about the relationship between interdependency and clear definition. Now, for those of you who've been watching all season, as it were, you know that we believe that every single one of the key success parameters is important, but how they act together, that's where their strength comes from. And so this short video is about the relationship between interdependency and clear definition. Now, believe it or not, it is a cyclical. Wow, that's a hard word some days. It's a cyclical, iterative relationship. Interdependency becomes much clearer in its impact on your project if you have clearly defined requirements, clearly defined metrics for success. Sometimes we have clearly defined metrics for success, but we're finding out the requirements as we go along and as we create something wonderful for our clients. And sometimes it's as our clients are creating a more wonderful clarity about what it is they really need. It happens. Isn't that one of the greatest reasons that Agile is so helpful? Because as an approach, it says, look, we're not going to get it all 100% correct at the very beginning, because we're willing to take an iterative approach and make sure that we can tweak things, accommodate changes. Sometimes there are changes in the environment, sometimes there are changes in technology, and sometimes, well, frankly, there are changes in what we all understand together about what it is we're trying to accomplish to begin with. So clear definition, remember, it's not just about a dictionary or a glossary. It's also about the context in which you're operating. You see, it's a double-edged sword. The better you work together, the more likely it is that you're going to develop a sort of linguistic shorthand. Your own language, you might say, slang that works for you and the rest of the team, but might not work at all for someone who's not part of that whole environment. And so you find yourself saying things, assuming people understand you, and yet there might be one or two who don't have the same context. And as a result, they're not actually really sure of what you just said. But you see, understanding the nature of interdependencies can help you drive cleaner and clearer definition, because you'll understand better who the stakeholders are, what their concerns are, and how it's going to impact the project. And all those layers together are what we're talking about when we talk about how interdependency can affect anything you're doing in the project. While many of us have learned a lot more about the impact of interdependency as we face new challenges all over the globe, either for reasons of health, for supply chain issues, you name it, we have learned a great deal about interdependency. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's always at the front of our minds as project managers or as project leaders. So I invite you to bring that up a little bit further up on the top of the list. And then remember also, clear definition isn't just saying, yes, it must be 6 inches, it must be 4 inches, it must be this high, it must be that color. It's also the context. Oh, did I mention that that very same rectangular table also has to be able to support the weight of a very heavy teleprompter on a very heavy camera? Oops. Because context is what clarifies so much of what we're doing, is When we are clear about the context in which our deliverables are going to operate, in which our clients, whether internal or external, have developed those requirements, have developed the metrics for success, we can do a better job as project leaders and project managers to support those efforts. So first, make sure that you're very, very clear about why the decisions that were made, remember, make or buy, off the shelf or off the shelf and modified just a little bit, why those decisions were made. Not because you're questioning the decision, but because understanding the context there is going to help you to make better decisions as you go along through the life cycle of the project. It's also a darn good way to keep boundaries around change management. And let's face it, that's so everybody's favorite thing to do. Then actually check for human interdependencies, not just technical interdependencies. Somebody got an unusually heavy workload at this time of the year due to, say, budgeting cycles or market releases on something else that they might be working on. Yeah, I know, isn't that annoying? They're actually working on multiple projects. And most of the time they are, and so are you. So look for the human interdependencies as well. How are things going for them on the home front? Do they have school-aged children? Are they suddenly empty nesters and wondering what that echo is in the house a little bit? Have they got a partner who just got a new job and now this individual is going to be working from home just like them? How many quiet rooms are there in that house where you could take a call? All of these things are the human interdependencies. Is somebody looking a little bit like they've gotten their last ragged edge? Or conversely, is somebody here looking like they've got their second wind and they are jazzed and they're ready to go? And if you don't help them capture and direct that wonderful resurge of positive energy, well, it's not going to ever go to waste, not really, but you can start folding it into the entire team's environment. It's kind of catching, you know, that whole mirror neuron thing. So make sure that you apply clarity to decisions, to context, and to results. Okay. Second, actually check for the human interdependencies, not just the technical or organizational ones. And last but not least, before you do anything with the conclusions you come to, verify that you're right, validate that it's a fact, not just information. Some of the best intentioned scuttlebutt can still cause discomfort on, I would say, both sides, but sometimes that means there are a bunch more people than just two involved in the conversation. So verify and validate. As a matter of fact, we'll be looking a little bit more closely at the topic of empathy in project leadership. And also, I'm talking to a few people who have done wonderful work in that field, and I'm trying to reel them in for an interview. I'll let you know as soon as I know. I'm Kimi, and this video lesson was brought to you by the Leadership Driven Project Management Academy. We look forward to seeing you again, and thank you for joining us this time.